heaven, West Virginia.
Alright guys, this is Matt, and the Supreme Court has finally come out with their decision on the abortion case in Texas. It's called a heartbeat law, and let's just say the liberals and the Democrats are losing their mind over it, especially Planned Parenthood. But I'm going to show you an article and what their decisions were in this actual case. So let's go ahead and take a look at the article. Breaking: the Supreme Court leaves Texas abortion law in effect. Now, that part of the case, the decision was 5-4, and of course, Roberts decided with liberals. Now, here comes the interesting part. There's two other decisions. The next one was the Biden administration's lawsuit against Texas over the heartbeat law being dismissed by the Supreme Court. And then the one that confuses me more than anything is the Supreme Court allowing abortion providers to sue the state. In both these decisions, they were 8-1. Now, the reason I'm confused about the last decision is because it seems like you're allowing a lower court to make a decision on the actual law instead of you making it. You've kept it in place until a lower court can make a decision on whether or not the law is constitutional or not, instead of actually taking the case. Now, the next thing I want to look at is this article where Planned Parenthood had a comment on what they thought about the decisions the Supreme Court made. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Planned Parenthood issued a scathing rebuke of the Supreme Court's ruling on Friday, calling the decision terrifying, dangerous, and discriminatory. You know, this kind of comment coming from this group is kind of funny to me, especially since they believe my body, my choice. But when it comes to the jab, they believe it should be mandatory on everybody. So you believe medical autonomy only works when you have another human being in your body, but when it has to do with putting an experimental vaccine in your body, it does not apply? That doesn't even make sense. I'd rather not have that experimental vaccine. I want to have that choice. But Planned Parenthood wants to take that choice from me and people like them because they believe it betters society if I get that jab. But when it comes to a human being having another human being in her body, being pregnant, that's a whole different story. It's her body. She doesn't want that human being or that fetus or that baby in her body. She should be allowed to kill that fetus or baby. I see huge conflict in this. And I know the rest of you do as well. I don't understand where they're coming from with it. Another argument that Democrats and liberals try to make is that the Republicans don't have a right to judge them on abortion because they're for the death penalty. Now, full disclosure, I'm against the death penalty. And there's several different reasons why. Number one, if you look at statistics, there's at least 20% of people that were on death row or been executed that were actually innocent. And with those statistics alone, I think that should make us actually look at the death penalty differently than what we do. The other reason is I feel like when you do put them to death and they are actually guilty, I think you're relieving them of their actual punishment. They're getting off easy. I think they should finish their punishment in jail for the rest of their lives. Not only that, when you give the state that kind of power over life or death, I think it's dangerous. I think it's a matter of time before they abuse it, where they'll be doing that when it comes to normal people that didn't do anything wrong. So I think you got to limit what government can do when it comes to that. But that's just my opinion. I know other people will have different opinions on that, and I completely understand that. That's just how I look at the death penalty. But with Democrats comparing it to abortion, that's apples and oranges, okay? You can't compare the two. You're comparing someone who's lived most of their life and lived most of their life as a bad person. And then you're comparing it to people that haven't even been born yet. Intellectually, I don't even know how you compare the two. Now, another thing I want to talk about is a comment AOC made. And in the comment, she said that she's against all form of state-sponsored death, which Okay, if that's the case, then why did you vote for funding Planned Parenthood? Now, the Democrats try to argue the federal government does not fund for abortions. Okay, 18% of Planned Parenthood's budget comes from the federal government. Okay, if that's the case, where does that money go? It goes into the bank account. So whenever they have to pay the electric bill, they take it out of the bank account to pay the electric bill. Do they have that room where they do the abortions separate from the rest of the building so they can separate the payments, so they make sure the federal funding does not go into the payment for that room, for that electric bill? No, they don't. It's all combined. The same with the PPE, same with paying the doctors and nurses that do the abortions. They get paid by the same bank account. So, logically, federal government funds abortion. The other thing is, in some states, 16 have funded abortions through Medicaid and Medicare. Now, the states do, not the federal government. But where do the states get the fundings for Medicare and Medicaid? Some states don't even have a state income tax. Majority of them don't. They are part of the 16 states that do Medicaid and Medicaid abortions. So where do they get that funding? They get it from the federal government. Not only that, in these states, these 16 states, you don't need a reason to actually get an abortion and use Medicaid or Medicare to get that abortion. How's that not state-sponsored death, AOC? It is. Anyone with critical thinking skills would look at this and say, AOC's being a hypocrite by funding Planned Parenthood so they could do abortions. But guys, that's my opinion. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Peace.